And it's time for our weekly segment, Patel It Like It Is, where ABC News contributor Dr. Alok Patel shares health advice on the topics that matter most to you. And today he's breaking down top medical headlines of the week, including rising whooping cough cases and sleep apnea's potential impact on risk of Parkinson's disease. Dr. Patel, always great to have you on. Thanks for joining us. So whooping cough cases across the country are surging as vaccination levels are dropping. Kentucky is now reporting a third infant death from whooping cough this year. All three of those babies were unvaccinated. What do people need to look for in terms of symptoms and prevention?
You know, what a tragic preventable headline. And you really nailed it, Diane, when you mentioned that cases are surging as vaccination rates are declining, because all cases of pertussis don't have to happen. Now, early stages of whooping cough can look just like any other flu or cold, a runny nose, coughing. And this is dangerous because this is a phase where the bacteria, is extremely contagious. If it is not treated in this phase, this can progress to then that classic whooping cough phase, which rapid, violent coughing. And if that's not treated, this can actually turn into a chronic illness, with infants being at increased risk because of their tiny airways and their underdeveloped immune systems. Now, pertussis, as part of the DTaP vaccine, after the 5-dose series throughout childhood, is above 90% effective. And that pertussis component, we've been giving that vaccine since 1914. So not only is it safe and tested, but it is very efficacious. So I would highly recommend everyone out there with young kids to make sure they are up to date on their whooping cough vaccine.
Meanwhile, another study shows persistently low thyroid hormones during pregnancy may be linked with increased autism risk. Why is that? And is there something pregnant women can do about that?
So thyroid hormone is involved in many parts of our body and with fetal brain development. This has been studied time and time again for decades, Diane. And what women need to pay attention to is that thyroid levels are checked in routine medical screening as well as during pregnancy, and making sure that you are being adequately treated if you have low or high thyroid is really important. This study looked at 51,000 births and found that it was a dose-dependent relationship between low thyroid, so women who had chronic hypothyroidism, not only before pregnancy, but during pregnancy, had the greatest link between that condition and autism in their kids. Now, this doesn't necessarily say this is a clear-cut association, but it is something that's important to look at, because the risk even increased if thyroid levels were low through all 3 trimesters. So we know that it's involved in fetal brain development. This is potentially adding more evidence that it could be related to autism. So screening and treatment, extremely important.
And finally, a new study is linking untreated sleep apnea to a higher risk of Parkinson's disease. So break that down for us. How are these two things connected?
You know, really interesting, and scientists are still trying to piece this one together. So Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disorder, very common, about 90,000 new cases each year. People usually associate this with symptoms such as tremor, difficulties speaking, and motor issues. And then you have sleep apnea, a condition where you may stop breathing in the middle of the night and you get low oxygen levels to your brain. This study found, looking at over 11 million medical records in the VA system, that when people had this untreated sleep apnea, they had almost double the risk of getting Parkinson's disease. Possibly it's because deprivation to your brain may kind of accelerate the progressive brain issue, or it messes with your brain's ability to clear waste. But one important note is that people who got a CPAP machine reduced their risk in this study by 30%. Diane, we have talked about this. We definitely need to improve our nation's sleep quality, but also the awareness, diagnosis, and treatment of sleep apnea, because it's linked to a lot of disorders, not just neurological conditions, but many more. And CPAP, great solution for anyone who needs it.
All right, Dr. Alok Patel, thank you.